The latest escalation in the Sea of Azov clearly shows that the annexation of Crimea is not only against international law, but also a problem for the security of all of us in Europe. Therefore, Russia should release the ships and the crew as soon as possible. Both sides, and this is the expectation that we've communicated, have to take steps to de-escalate the situation.
This situation was discussed last night during a phone call between President Putin and German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who phoned for President. They came to certain understandings, which should be implemented in the near future. I don't see any need for mediators. I think this is a purely practical issue.
Russia has clearly shown aggressive behavior, and this is a violation of international rules. And like many other international representatives, I would like to underline the position of the European Union that we condemn this Russian attitude, and we call on restraint, and that one thing is clear: the Sea of Azov has been agreed between Ukraine and Russia to be open for commercial shipping, for military shipping and for fishery shipping, and that Russia has no right to do what it did.
So how should the EU respond to these events?
Well, first of all, many European leaders have already been involved now in finding a diplomatic solution to not let the tensions further raise. I've been informed that, among others, Chancellor Merkel phoned with President Putin and with President Poroshenko. The statement of the European Union has been very clear in this issue that we want to defend the rights of Ukraine, and that after the illegal annexation of Crimea through Russia, we cannot accept that step by step the Sea of Azov is supposed to become a Russian territorial water. This has been agreed in 2003, way before the illegal annexation of Crimea, that both countries have the right to share this water. And already when the bridge was built across the Strait of Kerch, already that was a violation of international regulations and a violation of the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine.
It was Ukrainian ships who tried to cross the Kerch Strait from Black Sea to Azov Sea, and Russia says it was a provocation from the Ukrainian side. How do you view this?
Well, if you look at the whole case from an objective point of view, I'm not quite sure, to put it in polite terms, how you can actually see this as a provocation. Small Ukrainian vessels were attacked by much larger Russian ships. So I think this is once again a typical form of Russian propaganda.
Russia apparently is very, very concerned that with Ukrainian plans to build a naval base in Berdyansk on the Sea of Azov. And they're actually afraid that NATO ships may come to visit and overtake the Sea of Azov, closing the route for Russian, say, naval ships, which right now move to the Caspian, to the Black Sea, to the Mediterranean, back again, ships carrying long-range caliber cruise missiles. So and that would be very bad, and that would be the appearance of such a base most likely is seen as a very, very grave development in Moscow. And actually, the Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko is talking about that Moscow is planning a ground operation to take over the Ukrainian part of the Azov Sea, to take the cities of Mariupol and Berdyansk and close the Azov Sea to Ukraine entirely. And that's apparently the real reason why he imposed martial law, preparing for such a possible invasion. And that threat, I think, is real. There's a possibility that a big war may begin in the coming weeks or couple of months, a winter war between Russia and Ukraine over the Sea of Azov.
All right, let's bring in our political correspondent, Rupert Wiedert-Wald. He joins me from our parliamentary studios here in Berlin. Good evening to you, Rupert. So is it time now for Germany to once again step in and mediate?
Well, at least this is what Germany is offering together with France. These two countries have been mediating between Russia and the Ukraine since 2014, when Russia invaded and annexed the Crimean Peninsula. These four countries, Russia, the Ukraine, France and Germany, have been holding talks since then in the so-called Normandy format. And just yesterday, the special envoys of these countries met here in Berlin to discuss the tensions between Russia and the Ukraine. And of course, these current tensions have also been on the agenda. But so far, there has been no both countries, Russia and the Ukraine, have not really said that they want to engage any further talks to de-escalate the situation we are seeing right now.
Yeah, there's this anticipation that the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, that she's going to wield this mediation magic as she has done in the past. But what does Germany really have to work with right now? I mean, are we looking at more sanctions against Moscow?
Well, they are definitely on the table, but the problems with sanctions is that Germany cannot alone say, OK, we are going to impose further sanctions on the Russians. This is a European matter, and the European have to say united that they want to impose further sanctions, and being united is the one thing the European Union hasn't been really good at in the recent past. And we already are seeing that there's a debate within the European Union, even doubting that the sanctions which are already in effect, that perhaps they should be taken away. Italy, for instance, is very strong on that one. And even here in Germany, there's a debate, even within the coalition parties that form the government of Angela Merkel. Even there's a discussion saying, well, is it really clever to impose new sanctions if the old sanctions haven't helped really much? What we can say is that Germany is very careful to not take any sides, not with the Russians, not with the Ukrainians, and calling both sides to de-escalate.
Our political correspondent, Rupert Wiedewald, on the story for us tonight here in Berlin. Rupert, thank you.
You're welcome.